Val Emmons Show, where freedom is cool and political correctness is for sissies.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Val Emmons, and welcome to the Val Emmons Show. Tonight, the top story is the death of Nelson Mandela, and the American Free Press reports that as South Africa's 95-year-old Nelson Mandela has died, the worldwide media portrays him as a larger-than-life heroic figure and the liberator of his people. But is that the truth, or is it fiction? And how will honest historians judge him? So, I'm sure that you've heard the official story, which goes something like this. Nelson Mandela was born in 1918 into the Thembu tribe's royal family. He studied law at two prestigious universities and became involved in anti-colonial politics. Joining the African National Congress, ANC, he was committed to nonviolent protests and gaining sovereignty for blacks. In 1962, he was arrested and convicted of sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government and was sentenced to life in prison. An international campaign lobbied for his release, which was granted in 1990, and he was hailed as the martyr of white racism by the international media. This popularity propelled him to be elected president of South Africa in 1994, where he continued with the struggle to end ethnic tensions and bring about racial equality. Over the years, Mandela has received over 250 awards, including the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize, the U.S. Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Soviet Order of Lenin. This is the official story. His critics, however, have a different opinion. They point to the fact that Mandela was not in prison for opposing apartheid or segregation in Africa, but for being a communist terrorist murderer bomber in service to the Soviet Union. The ANC's guerrilla force known as Umkhonto, I muddled that up. I tried to pronounce it. Umkhonto Wesizwe, MK, or Spear the Nation, was founded in 1961 by Mandela and his advisors, the Lithuanian-born communist Jew Joe Slovo, born Yaso Michel Slovo, who was officially named Secretary General of the South African Communist Party in 1986. Slovo had been the planner of many of the ANC terrorist attacks, including the January 8, 1982 attack on the Coburg nuclear power plant near Cape Town, the Church Street bombing on May 20, 1983, which killed 19 people, and the June 14, 1986 car bombing of Magoo's Bar in Durban, in which 3 people were killed and 73 were injured. In 1962, Mandela was arrested along with 19 others, half of whom were white communist Jews, in a police raid of ANC headquarters at a farm owned by Andrew Goldrich, also a communist Jew, at Rivonia, a Johannesburg suburb. In the Rivonia trial, which took place between 1963 and 1964, the defendants were tried for 221 counts of sabotage designed to overthrow the government and conspiring to aid foreign military units when they invaded South Africa to further the objects of communism. The prosecutor, Percy Udhar, said at the trial that production requirements for munitions were sufficient to blow up a city the size of Johannesburg. Escaping the death sentence, Mandela was given life in prison. By 1990, the communists behind Mandela had gained enough power to force his release. Apartheid was abolished in 1992, and the ANC was put into power in 1994 with Mandela as president. Slovo became his Secretary of Housing. Shortly thereafter, Mandela and Slovo, along with a group of ANC leaders, were filmed chanting a pledge to kill all whites in South Africa. Current South African President Jacob Zuma, also of the ANC, was also filmed as late as January 2012, singing a song called Kill the Boer in front of a crowd of thousands of blacks while they were cheered and danced. The Boer means whites. The song advocates the murder of the descendants of the original white settlers in South Africa, with lyrics encouraging blacks to gun down the farmers with machine guns. Mandela's ex-wife, Winnie, also a longtime ANC activist, prefers a method called necklacing. You're going to love this one, where a gasoline-filled tire is placed around the neck of a victim and set ablaze. With our boxes of matches and our necklaces, we shall liberate this country. She's infamous for saying that. Mandela was in solitary confinement at the time of the necklacing torture murders. An estimated 3,000 victims died by necklacing. Since 1994, 68,000 whites have been brutally tortured and murdered by blacks in South Africa in ways too gruesome to describe, including almost 4,000 Boers whose farms were confiscated by savage murderers, a combined area of over 25,000 square miles. I am just, contrary to popular belief, the vast majority of blacks in South Africa aren't natives, but came by the millions from neighboring countries only after the white Boers created a country with a thriving economy, education opportunities, and medical benefits. Under white rule, blacks in South Africa enjoyed better living conditions than any other African country where blacks kill each other in tribal warfare. In 1994, the same year Mandela took power, the Hutu tribe killed 800,000 Tutsis in Rwanda. You remember this? Similar tribal genocides have taken place in the Congo, Somalia, Ethiopia, Chad, Mali, Zimbabwe, Angola, and many more African countries. Tribal savagery and genocide has always been a way of life for Africans. Since Mandela took over, South Africa became a third world country. It went from being the safest country in Africa to being the rape murder capital of the world. In Johannesburg, 5,000 people are murdered every year. Unemployment went to 5% in '94 to 50% today. South Africa also has the largest number of people infected with HIV/AIDS in the world. In 2007, over 18% of adults, or 5,700,000 people, had AIDS. In 2010, an estimated 280,000 died of AIDS. So with all of that being said, I find it very interesting that our president has ordered the American flag to half-staff for a self-proclaimed communist terrorist. You can find images of Mandela if you just search Mandela communism, raising his hand, his fist up in the communist, whatever you call that. I don't even, but anyway, what they do to hail communist, behind the communist flag, along with people like Fidel Castro in pictures. I just think that this is crazy. PJ Media reported that when Mandela was arrested, the authorities claimed to have uncovered 210,000 hand grenades, 48,000 anti-personnel mines, 1,500 time devices, 144 tons of ammonia nitrate, 21.6 tons of aluminum powder, and 1 ton of black powder. Mandela had helped to carry out terror attacks at shopping centers, movie theaters, and other civilian targets, not just establishment ones like courts and banks. These attacks blew many innocent whites and blacks to bits. So when the left adopted the destruction of apartheid as its new fashionable cause in the late 80s, the organizer of that free Nelson Mandela concert, Tony Hollingsworth, knew he needed to personalize the cause and give that particular person a big makeover. Pronto. Hollingsworth now admits that the All-Star extravaganza had everything to do with ridding Mandela of his terrorist tag and ensuing his release. Mandela and the movement should be seen as something positive, confident, something you would like to be in your living room with. Mandela danced out of prison less than 2 years after that concert. Oh, and not long after that, he was filmed singing that ANC song I told you about earlier about killing white people. So you decide how you remember this man. We heard from the president himself how he remembers him, and it's telling and also very clear. So let's listen from his mouth in his own words on today's press conference on the matter.
I am one of the countless millions who drew inspiration from Nelson Mandela's life. My very first political action, the first thing I ever did that involved an issue or a policy or politics, was a protest against apartheid. I would study his words and his writings. The day he was released from prison gave me a sense of what human beings can do when they're guided by their hopes and not by their fears. And like so many around the globe, I cannot fully imagine my own life without the example that Nelson Mandela set. And so long as I live, I will do what I can to learn from him.
Okay, so now if you don't understand all of everything I said up to now, I want you to go back about 3 minutes and listen to everything I just read to you. And then go back and listen to what Obama just admitted. Go back and do that for yourself, because I'm not going to tell you how you should think. I want you to decide what Obama just spelled out for you. It's very obviously clear to me. Very clear. It was always clear to me anyway how he, I believe that he is a communist socialist, and I believe that this is telling, and people will ignore it because people won't understand. People won't go and do their research on the things that Nelson Mandela did that were not good. I respect the fact that of the apartheid and what took place there, but I don't respect the things that Mandela did to get there. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out, because I don't think that a lot of people understand this about Mandela. I don't think that people even know it, because all we've ever heard our whole lives, if we weren't in that time frame, were, the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, the president won one of those too. And, if you are against everything he's doing right now, it's just the same exact thing. It's communism to me, socialism. So the Nobel Peace Prize means nothing, especially after they gave it to the president, because it's just crazy. So while we're on the subject of Obama, so I was in D.C. last week and this week, and my driver, Joe, who picks me up when I'm in D.C., he picked me up at the hotel this morning, and he and I always talk politics. So we get ready to leave, and he looks back at me and he says, "We have another stop to make this morning before we head to the airport. We're going to stop at the White House, and you can take the president back with you." To me, this is so funny. It was just funny. Here I am, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm, trying to get myself to there, and it was just hilarious to me. Joe is from Lebanon, and he has told me over the couple, the years that I've known him, that he built his transportation company from the ground up, and coming to our country in the 70s on a visa, only to become an American citizen. And he said that he gets offended when others don't want to take a legal path that he took. He said, he made a very valid point to me this morning. That one thing that has come out of Obama being president is that the illiberal agenda has been exposed for what it truly is. Socialist with a dash of communism. I think that's very true. In more Obama news, the Washington Post reports that the White House acknowledged Thursday that President Obama lived with his uncle for a brief period of time in the 1980s while he was a student at Harvard Law School, despite previously saying there was no record of the two having met. The president did stay with him for a brief period of time until his apartment was ready. White House spokesman Eric Schultz said in a statement, "After that, they saw each other once every few months, but after law school, they fell out of touch. The president has not seen him in 20 years, has not spoken with him in 10. Onyango Omar Obama faced a deportation hearing earlier this week following a drunk driving arrest. During the hearing, he said that the president had lived with him while he was a student at Harvard. The Boston Globe reported in 2012, after Omar Obama's arrest, if you remember, that the White House said he had never met his famous nephew. I remember this. Do you not remember this? So the White House now says it only told the Globe that there was no record of the two having met, not definitely that they hadn't met. Come on, people. Lies! In this report Thursday, the Globe confirmed that the White House initially said that there was no record that they had met. It said the White House never asked for a correction. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney told reporters at Thursday's White House briefing that this is kind of one of those things where what is. I did not have sexual relations with this woman. I did not meet my uncle. Did you not go back and ask Obama? Was he so coked out at the time that he didn't remember even seeing his uncle? Or staying with his uncle? God, really? Anyway, when the issue of Obama's uncle came up in 2011, the press office looked at the president's records, including the president's book, and found no reference to him. Why didn't they just call up the president and ask him himself? Because it was a freaking lie. That was what was conveyed, he said. No one had spoken to the president. Won't you think you would ask the president something like this instead of just assuming he'd never met him because you couldn't find anything? When the issue of their relationship came up again during the Boston trial, Carney added, I thought it was the right thing to do to go ask him. Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I thought now's the right thing to do because we just were blown out of the water, folks. We were just found out. Carney emphasized that the two men have no relationship at this point. The president has not seen Omar Obama in roughly 20 years and has not spoken to him in 10 years, he said. Omar Obama comes from his father's side of the family and is a Kenyan national. Obama was not close to his father, who left the family when the president was very young. Obama's relationship with his uncle is also news to the scholars of the president, who also found no evidence that the two had met, according to a 2011 Washington Post report. So you can't ask him? A simple question? I mean, really? Can't go on those Google Hangouts and ask the president a question? Not one person in all those interviews with Obama on all these talk shows, maybe The View, thought to ask this question and clarify? Again, media lapdogs instead of watchdogs. Omar Obama, 69, was allowed to stay in the United States following his hearing. The White House emphasized that it did nothing to assist him in his deportation case. He had said following his arrest that the president would help him out. Omar Obama's case was handled routinely in a regular order without any interference from the president or the White House, Schultz said. The White House did not comment on the matter Tuesday or Wednesday, despite requests from the Washington Post. Okay, as you can see, guys, I'm coughing because it's a little nasty outside, and I'm sorry. And, so now on to the 2013 ice storm. It's supposed to hit tonight here in Little Rock. It's coming down pretty hard right now. I'm not sure. Things just rain outside. But folks all over the Midwest and parts of the South are already seeing their share of the inclement weather. So I want to play a funny YouTube video and make light of this situation. This video has been going viral, and I've posted it on my page. And I know it's going viral because everyone on the plane was talking about it today. People on the way to Little Rock, and it was interesting. I found it this morning from Stephen Blackwood, who is on Dave Ellswick's show. Actually, Stephen has his own show on KARN as well on Saturday. A real estate show. I can't remember, something outside the box. Yes, I think. I'm sorry, Stephen, if I butchered that. Anyway, this is pretty funny and accurate when it comes to winter weather here in Arkansas. So let's listen. You guys will get a kick out of it, especially if you are from Arkansas. You'll understand.
Gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. Oh my God, I gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. They said snow. I gotta get the bread and milk. Oh my God. I gotta get the bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk. Oh my God.
So the only thing he left out was the toilet paper. And you know what? I was wondering, I kept asking everyone, what the heck do these people do over a 2-day period with all the damn toilet paper that's sold out of the stores? And I figured out, I think, why folks need so much darn toilet paper. I think that they think that they're going to poop more with all of that milk and bread they're ingesting over the 2-day freeze over. Because seriously, people. So, some other hilarious, comical things that I heard about over the span of the day on Facebook were as follows. My good friend Angie Davis, who is a fabulous photographer, look her up on Facebook. She also used to be on the Dave Ellswick Show with me on Thursdays on KARN. Anyway, she posted a photo of the loaf of bread with the bid starting at $500. And I asked her, some comical stuff, but you can go to her Facebook page and check that out. But it's just funny because another person actually posted to Craigslist an ad that stated milk and bread, $525 firm. And a friend of mine, April Mendenhall, posted a sign that was on the Dollar Tree door that said, "Sorry, out of bread." Seriously, people, what the hell are you doing with all of the bread? I just don't understand. Anyway, on a serious note, if you don't need to get out, then stay inside where it's warm and safe, folks. If it's nasty tomorrow, kind of wait till the stuff melts up, and then, do what you got to do, and then come back before it gets dark. You don't want to be and catch some of that black ice because it's supposed to freeze over. You may not think it's anything, it's just rain, but when it gets down below freezing, you're not going to see that black ice, and it's going to be... And another thing, people, please do not hit your brakes on the ice, okay? You're just going to slide. You're just going to slide. In terms of power outages so far, THV here in Little Rock reports that electrical crews are preparing to restore power to areas that were hit with Thursday's rain and sleet storm. Energy Arkansas, as of 9:45 tonight, reported more than 1,600 power outages across the state. The bulk of the outages, more than 1,300, were in Independence and Izard counties. Energy stated on its website, Energy Arkansas is preparing for a major winter storm. Based on all models and historical information for the similar ice storms, winter storms, significant damages from ice snow accumulations is expected, which could result in extended outages of 5 to 7 days, with the majority of customers back in service much sooner. We're ready to restore power as soon as conditions are safe, and will provide estimated restoration times after the storm passes and we're able to fully assess damages. Oh, wow. It's unclear how many outages from other companies there may be across the state, but at this point, like I said, it's 1,600. Last year I had withered through the ordeal after Christmas, and for 10 days I had no power, and I took to Facebook. And I went on Energy's website. So if you're not getting the customer service that you think you should, anytime really, go to Energy's not web page, but their Facebook page or Twitter, because Twitter's very, very customer service oriented, and they don't want people to be posting bad stuff. So if you want information or if you want to express your frustration, go to their page and let them know and let your voice be heard, because I'm telling you, I had issues with AT&T with my wires down in my yard last year, and I couldn't get anybody out here for 3 or 4 days, but I couldn't get my electrical fixed until they got those wires up, and I couldn't get a new heating unit until all that was done. 10 days, people. And so I went to their Facebook page, and within like 30 minutes, somebody was calling me on my phone. I guess they looked up my number and my account from my name. Anyway, yeah, so it works. Also, I've gotten a free Outback card from Outback for complaining on their Facebook page about customer service. Not really free because they got crappy service. They just invited me back. But yeah, $50 gift card from Outback. So complaining. We should complain. You're the ones that are paying. You're the customer. Without the customer, they don't get a paycheck. So you should complain. Don't feel bad about complaining, as long as it's legitimate. Don't be a jerk and complain about stupid stuff. Just try to get free stuff. That's just wrong. Anyway, so on my way home from D.C. today, we were delayed in Dallas at the airport, and while we were all on the plane waiting, the captain announced that he loved his freedom, and that people often forgot that freedom comes at a price. He said he then wanted to thank the soldiers who were on the plane with us for their service. So me, being me, I immediately started clapping for them. And it was so awesome because the whole plane started clapping for them. It was just awesome. And I just wanted to share that with you. And you should support the troops whenever and wherever you have an opportunity. I have a cousin that has 2 sons that are in Afghanistan right now. And they both have wives and they both have children over here waiting for them. So support the troops in any way, shape, or form that you can. Even if it's just a gesture to thank them for their service to protecting your freedom. So, Politico reports from the Hill that Virginia Rep. Randy Forbes, the senior House Republican eyeing a powerful committee chairmanship, is causing friction with some of his colleagues by pushing the House GOP campaign arm to deny support for some of the party's gay congressional candidates. Forbes has waged a lengthy crusade to convince his colleagues in the National Republican Congressional Committee brass they shouldn't back some gay candidates. His efforts on Capitol Hill were described to Politico by more than half dozen sources with direct knowledge of the talks. So I'm pretty sure that this is not just hearsay. 12 sources. That's quite a bit of sources. I'm sorry, my throat is killing me, guys. I should have done a Marco Rubio, but I don't have any water. Let's see. I'm sorry. I've lost my place. Anyway, Republicans have two promising openly gay candidates in 2014 vying for seats held by Democrats. Richard Teasy, who narrowly lost to Democrats Representative John Tierney in 2012, is running again in northeastern Massachusetts. And in San Diego, Carl DeMaio, a former city councilman, is trying to knock off Democrat-Republican Representative Scott Peters. Neither DeMaio nor Teasy responded to messages on their cell phones seeking comment. On Thursday, following Politico's report, House Speaker John Boehner said his party should support gay Republican congressional candidates. That story was published on the same day as another Politico story reporting that top aides to Republican male incumbents are meeting with NRCC aides to learn messaging against women opponents. When asked if his party should support gay candidates, Boehner simply said, "I do." That's interesting. More reason why I respect John Boehner. That's a hard one to, not for me, but I think that's something, who cares? Who really cares if they're conservative? I know that a lot of people, anyway, I'm not even going to get into that right now because I don't even have enough time. In recent years, Republicans have slowly tried to make inroads with the gay community. As gay marriage becomes more common, many GOP officials have softened their stance. Since the 2012 election, Republicans have similarly tried to make inroads with other neglected voting blocs, including women and Hispanics. Many senior House Republicans haven't shied away from giving money to Teasy or DeMaio. The NRCC supported Teasy in 2012, and many top Republicans contributed to his campaign. The political arm of House Majority Leader Eric Cantor gave DeMaio $10,000 in June, and Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy chipped in $5,000 the same month. On Wednesday, Forbes told Politico he thinks GOP leaders can do whatever they want to do in terms of giving money to gay candidates. He said he's more concerned about members being asked to contribute to the campaigns. The NRCC is particularly funded by collecting tens of millions of dollars from House Republicans who pay dues to the organization. There would be a different situation if they tried to force other members to give money, Forbes said. Asked whether he would have a problem with the NRCC donating money to DeMaio, Forbes said that's a little different situation. I don't think they've done that yet, Forbes added. When asked if he would withhold political contributions to the NRC if they backed DeMaio, Forbes said, "I'm not going to be hypothetical on what we would or wouldn't do at this particular point in time because you've got a lot of scenarios. I don't think we've had primaries and nominations to nominate people, so I don't want to prejudge." The NRCC does not get publicly involved in primaries. So, in an email statement to Politico in response to the story, NRCC Chairman Greg Walden of Oregon said, "Our decisions on the Republican nominees we support will not be based on race, gender, or sexual orientation, but will be based on the strength of their candidacy and their ability to defeat Democrats." End of story. Many Republicans seem willing to back DeMaio. Representative Darrell Issa, senior California Republican who has endorsed him, said that he will be supported by the NRCC when he wins the primary. "I will see to that," said Issa, who chairs the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Representative Duncan Hunter, a California Republican on the Armed Services Committee, said if DeMaio is the Republican candidate, that's who we're going to back. "That's who I'm going to back," he told Politico. "We're going to endorse the Republican candidate, and that is it." Asked about Boehner's policy towards gay candidates, an aide pointed to several contributions the Ohio Republican made to Teasy during the past election cycle. Boehner also visited Boston to raise money for Teasy during the summer of 2012. With the GOP, the politics of gay marriage have shifted. Ohio Senator Rob Portman, for instance, has come out in favor of same-sex marriage. Several other Republicans have tried to distance themselves from the anti-gay policies of the party's past. Even more than gay marriage politics, this episode highlights the bare-knuckle politics waged in Washington when it comes to committee chairmanship. The stakes are high. Holding a gavel translates into power in the Capitol. And on the House Armed Services Committee, the chairman becomes flush with cash from large military sector. Although Forbes has been lobbying on this issue for some time, it's becoming public now as his name is being mentioned for the committee chairmanship, although he hasn't announced his retirement. Many GOP insiders expect current Armed Services Committee Chairman Buck McKeon forego another bid for election. That's all I have for tonight, folks. Be safe, stay inside, and stay warm. Bye-bye.